At Nagico, the things that matter to you matter to us. Like your boat when you're at sea and you get away from everything. Your home and the security of your daughter's things. And the car that you've had for too long, but after all these years, you just can't let go. At Nagico, we're about much more than just insurance. We're about the big things and the small things that mean everything.
The hurricane season 2018 started on June 1st. Mr. Elmer Burke, Chief Weatherman, speaking on Hurricane Preparedness Program From Danger to Safety, said that we're looking at about 14 storms to develop into the Atlantic Ocean, and 7 may develop into hurricanes.
But for now, we are looking at a slightly above average, and when we say slightly above average, we are looking at about 14 storms expected for the Atlantic Ocean, because that's the region that we are speaking about. And out of those 14 storms, 7 of those may develop into hurricanes, and out of those 7 hurricanes, it is likely that 3 of them might develop into major hurricanes. And as you are aware, major hurricanes are those of category 3, 4, and 5 strength.
He also said that some of the impacts we may get is a severe wet storm.
More storms, you would also get the rough seas accompanying with it, and some storms, because each storm have the different peculiarities. So sometimes we call some dry storms, and when we say the dry storms, because we don't get any significant amount of rainfall.
Right.
However, on the flip side, you can have extremely wet storm where you have extreme amount of rainfall. So it depends, and each storm is different, and we assess each storm differently accordingly.
Mr. Burke also said that all storms transition from wave to depression to storm and then to hurricane, but some of them develop more rapidly.
So because the rapid development in terms of the timeline for the transition is short at times. So at times, yes, in an initial report, we might be talking about a tropical wave, for example. And because conditions develop so rapidly in such a short time, you would hear us then say, okay, we now have a tropical storm forming. You realize we would have skipped the depression
stage, yeah.
And it is because we now have, in terms of the threshold for the storm, because for the storm we're looking at the wind speed. The wind speed must be of a certain magnitude when you're looking at the sustained winds. So once the sustained winds have reached that magnitude, then we can't call it a depression. We have to go straight to the storm.
He also stated that we should recognize that most storms come through the Caribbean and residents should start to prepare now.
This is the path that most storms you generally will pass through, come across the Atlantic from Africa and pass through the Caribbean. Because the Caribbean is just right there in the path of it. Yeah. So persons, you can't wait until you hear a storm is coming to start to prepare. Start to prepare now. Now that the season is relatively quiet, start to prepare now. If you have your cheese to prune, the basic, if you have a checklist, if you want to even know more, you could check whether NEMA for advice in terms of what can you do to get yourself in a state of readiness in advance of the hurricane season really picking up and ramping up and so forth.
The Atlantic hurricane season last year produced 2 devastating hurricanes, Hurricane Maria and Irma, that claimed lives and billions of dollars in damage to property. I am Chiari Morton, SKN Newsline.